So accepting on behalf of his father is James Durkee, who's here with us today. James?
We got this all backwards here. When I was a kid, my dad was the one behind the microphone. Up in North Glen, we had the Little League banquets every year, and my father was always the MC. And he always made it look so easy. And I can't follow in his footsteps, but I'm going to try. It's a little scary for me. He got to live the American dream. When my father was in high school, he wanted to be a commercial airline pilot, but his family couldn't afford it, so his second choice was to become a disc jockey. Well, you fast forward 9 years from 56, when he went to radio school, he ends up taking flight lessons, and he becomes a commercial pilot by 1967. Some of my earliest memories, I was a child up in the airplane, and I look back at his logbooks now. 1965, I was 3 years old, and he was taking me out for joyrides in the airplane. I was about 9 or 10. I remember one Saturday I got to go down to KLZ. It's in the same building where Channel 7 still sits at Spear and Lincoln. It was KLZ AM, FM, and I think KLZ TV. But he put me in a conference room and got me a TV set up so I could watch TV. And being a mischievous kid, I kind of wandered around the building, and I got in the elevator and looking at this red button, it says pull for emergency. And I pulled it, and the fire alarm went off. And I was terrorized. I went running back to the conference room and sat down and started watching TV again. And they evacuated the building. I was in the building. About 15 minutes later, he comes in. He's kind of worried. He's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, what's going on?" And he said, "Well, they had to evacuate the building. I was wondering where you were." And I just played like I didn't know what had happened. And I never told him that I pulled the fire alarm. And he might have known, because he never took me back to KLZ with him. A few years later, I remember, well, I guess it wasn't too long, but there was a period of time when he wasn't working, and it was kind of traumatic after KLZ, and he was trying to do whatever he could to make a buck, and he was flying back to South Dakota and Minnesota doing voice work for people. And I look back at that now, and I think, well, how can you make money doing that? You're flying an airplane across the country. But he got a phone call one day from Hal Moore, and it seemed like everything was going to be okay again. And it turned into a magical experience at KHOW. I remember on Friday nights I got to tag along and go to work with him, because I had to go to school, Monday through Friday. But Friday night I could stay up till 2 a.m. when he got off the radio. I remember the FM station sitting above the 16th Street Mall, and all the high school kids were cruising 16th Street. And it was just really magical being a part of all that. Going down to Jerry Jolly's on 6th Avenue and getting ski gear on a KHOW trade out. Going up the mountains every weekend with the KHOW ski team. He was in the right place at the right time, and he was with the right people. He approached Hal Moore and said, "I want to do this show." And Hal said, do what you want, Ray. And, if not for that kind of a response from his program director, it never would have happened. He kept me busy till I was 24. Between 14 and 24 years old, I helped him out duplicating tapes, putting them out for the UPS guy. He'd show up every day. He'd be bringing packages back and taking packages. At the height of the popularity, it was 100 stations every week. And then he got a lot of his entrepreneurial spirit from his father, George Durkee, who had created something called Durkee's Furniture Wax back in the 30s and 40s, and he was driving around the north central part of the country selling wax out of his pickup truck. And when my father syndicated, he's driving around the country, going out doing promotional appearances and doing dances, just like the model that his father had taught him. In 2009, about a week or two before my father passed away, I was talking to him, and he asked me, "Is the World Wide Web for audio like the internet is for text?" And I explained to him, you can do a lot of multimedia stuff on the internet. And I've never forgotten that conversation with him, and it just seemed like a natural thing to take these old shows and put them back out there for people to enjoy again. And I was really happy to have Chuck St. John with Cruisin' take an interest in it and agree to put the show back on the air for people in Denver to listen. It's just been a lot of fun. He was a broadcasting professional. He was a great family man. He always provided for his family. He was a great teacher and a mentor, and he deserves this recognition. And I want to say thank you to the broadcast pioneers of Colorado for the honor of thinking of him. And I know that my family, my mother Marilyn, my brother John, my sisters Rayanne and Robin, and all of his 10 grandchildren are very proud of him too.